So, yesterday, Paul Catalina, Steven Simcox on 365 Sports. We had a good friend of the show, a great guy, Jim Grobe, who's the coach at Baylor for a season here, interim coach at Baylor, and he was at Wake Forest forever. And he just finished his term on the College Football Playoff Committee. So, right off the bat yesterday, Garrett was here and heard me ask. I asked him, I said, look, my fellow FSU brethren will kill me for not asking you. Why was it so important to you guys, or like why did Alabama get in? Like what were the discussions like? What did it come down to? And he said, look, they're a different team without Jordan Travis, and one of the criteria they says are, if key players are out. And so he made a very good argument for it, except for the fact that FSU won the 2 games that he didn't play. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really get to follow up with that because I didn't want to be argumentative. But, the only thing I could think of is, but they won. They won those games. It's not like had they beaten Florida and lost to Louisville, you'd have been like, well, if they'd lost to Louisville, I'd have been like, you know what, I shouldn't have lost to Louisville.
Can't lose the conference title game
They can't lose the conference title game. It's very evident this team is very different. No, they were – not only did they not lose the conference title game, they didn't play well on offense, but the defense was as dominant as you could possibly. For 2 straight games against Florida and Louisville, the defense was dominant. Neither of those offenses peed a drop the whole game. And that's why I was just like, but they won. So, it wasn't like they was out and they lost. They still found a way to win. That's where I get confused on that.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, they won. They found a way to win those games. Yeah, it was a different team, but they were still right there. And Louisville wasn't a bad team. They found a way against a good Louisville team to get it done. I think they would have played Michigan well. I feel like that pass rush would have really given them trouble. But, yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately for Florida State, and it shouldn't matter because this happened after the selection. But that bowl game just took so much wind out of their sails when it comes to this. But in the moment, you're right. It felt like that was a team that could compete without their best player, as crazy as it sounds. And, it's just talking about those hypotheticals is why we get so mad, because the bottom line is it should be about the resume itself. It shouldn't be about, what's going to happen in the game. We don't know. That's why they play the game.
But there are going to be – of the 4-team playoff era, I think we should do a Netflix documentary on it. Is the 5 most screwed teams, and no offense to TCU in the first round of it, Steven, but I think Baylor's the one who got screwed in that because they won the game. They beat them. They lost to West Virginia, but TCU lost to Baylor. So, that was, to me, when that was more Baylor than TCU. Now, it wound up being the entire Big 12. They got screwed in the long run. I know you probably see that differently.
Yeah, I do. But I see your point. I think, it depends on how you look at it.
But, you could put Baylor and TCU in the one big screw job of it.
Yeah, right.
You could just lump them in together. And, both these teams got screwed in different ways, and both of them had arguments, and both of them got left out because of the conference. You could do a really interesting documentary over, tell me how you got screwed by the 4-team playoff. And then the last one would be, you would just do a series, and the last one would be Florida State going but we won. We
were undefeated,
but
we didn't lose the game. Yeah.
And then the TCU Baylor game one could be TCU's we only lost 1 game to them. They're the number, they're the number 5 team. We're the number 6 team right now. They're our only loss. And then they lost to West Virginia, who's barely making a bowl game. So their loss is worse. And then Baylor's be that as it may, we beat you. So, let's flip a coin and one of us is going to go. That's what it should have been, was all right, heads, tails, you go. That's what Bob Bowlesby should have done. Been we're going to go with this narrative here. But that's not what he did. He was they both should be in over Ohio State and the defending undefeated national champion.
Ohio State team that, by the way, going back to Florida State, got in with a 3rd-string quarterback.
Yeah. No. There's not precedent for this. So, I don't know.
You're not bitter.
I'm not bitter. Let's do buy or sell quarterbacks in 2025 on the wheel.
Kaiden Salter.
Garrett,
I would sell in a heartbeat.
I'm gonna sell. I'm not gonna sell with vigor. The schedule he's gonna play this year will be the toughest schedule he's ever played in his college career, and it won't even be close. He has never played. He's only, you know what? The bowl game in 24.
When Oregon
23
destroyed
season.
them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Oregon. That's the only time he's played a team that's good. Yeah. So the worst team he plays on the schedule will still probably be better than the best team he ever played in the regular season at Liberty. So while I think he's a good player and I think that they'll do fine with him, they're also losing all the weapons that, they had. It's not just Travis Hunter. It's Jimmy Horn and LeJontay Wester and Will Shepherd all gone. And they have not, shown a propensity to develop a running game. If they can develop a running game, I'll buy on Kaiden Salter. He'll be fine. But when you average 27 yards a game on the ground or whatever they had, Shadur is elite enough to overcome that. Kaiden Salter, not that guy.
Yeah. John Mater?
Mateer. You've had kids too long. You're sitting there watching.
They call him the tow truck. That's the nickname, right?
Tow truck. Yeah, Mater. John Mateer. Bye. If you watch any shows that I'm on, I'm a big John Mateer fan. I think he was the biggest grab in the transfer portal this year, and having him with. It's not like you come in and bring him in an offense he's not going to be familiar with. Mm-hmm. You bring him and Ben Arbuckle together.
Right.
Brent Venables, and hiring Jim Nagy last week, all great moves that he's doing. This should set up Oklahoma well. I love it. I just hope that they have the players around him that will allow him to flourish. But I think he's an upgrade on Jackson Arnold 100%.
Cade Klubnik.
Oh, Lion. Look, I'm in a really interesting period where yesterday I did a top 5 where I had to rank Florida as the SEC team that'll take the biggest jump next year. Is DJ Lagway on that list too?
I should have put him on here, but
I'm buying him as well.
Yeah, I figured you were buying him.
Yeah, but Cade Klubnik, look, another year with Garrett Riley. Mm-hmm. Clemson looks like they're kind of shoring things up. Their wide receivers have gotten better. They went out and got, a couple people in the transfer portal. One on offense, one on defense, but a wide receiver that's a veteran. Westco's a really good player. I think their running game may take a little bit of a step back because, after Phil Maffa, there really wasn't that dude last year where a couple years ago when they had Shipley and Maffa, they were really lethal in that part of it. But I think Klubnik showed that he's improved every single year, and I think he's going to have a very good year.
Arch Manning.
Bye. We've seen enough to know that this kid's special. Yeah. Now, do I think Texas may take a little bit of a step back in Arch Manning's first year? Yeah, because they've lost the whole offensive line and wide receivers and Jaden Blue. And now while, backs will be back and Quintravian Wisner will be back and those things will help, but Matthew Golden's gone. Isaiah Bond is gone. Gunnar Helm is gone. These are all going to be players that you have not seen play for Texas yet. Now, Ryan Wingo's there. That's really good news for Arch Manning. But after Ryan Wingo, what are we talking about? We don't know yet. Now, I'm sure there's going to be studs that we're going to be talking about that, yeah, these guys are really good. But there's a lot of unknowns with Texas now for the first time in a couple years. So I think while Texas should still be good, I see them as a team that's like maybe even an 8-4 floor. But I think if they're 9-3 or 10-2, it would not terribly shock me, given the fact that they're replacing a lot of guys. They could still be a really good team, and they could still be a playoff team. But will they be as dominant as they were the last couple years? I don't think so.
In year 19 of his career, Diego Pavia.
Diego Pavia, of course, I love Diego Pavia. I'm not nuts that he's throwing another wrench into the system of college athletics.
With the GP eligibility.
I mean, he'll one more year, he'll be fine. He'll be good. I think that he's got players that want to stay and play with him, and that's something Vanderbilt can't normally say. So, yeah, I think I'll buy Diego Pavia. I'll give him a one game upgrade where they get another win. They're still Vanderbilt, and they still got to play the schedule that they have. But yeah, I think they'll still be a tough out.
All right, let's go Carson Beck.
Sell.
Oh, okay.
Sell. I mean, he'll be fine. I mean, he's just going to be, but he's a step back from Cam Ward, in my opinion, at Miami. Also, he doesn't have the weapons that Cam Young has. He's losing both those running backs, Fletcher and Martinez. Wide receivers gone. And actually, the wide receivers at Miami weren't quite as good.
You had Restrepo, but that's about it.
Yeah, Restrepo's gone. Like, Colby Young gone. I mean, like, Samuel Brown, like, that was their starting three. They're gone. Elijah Arroyo, the tight end, is gone. I don't know how they've addressed that. Like, I mean, I know they got the guy from Alabama, Hankton, but yeah, I mean, that was a nice pickup for them. But I'm not like he's not stepping into a similar situation that he was at Georgia. It's quite different. So he will have a good offensive line because Mario Cristobal gets good offensive linemen. And I also don't know how good that defense is going to be. So he's going to have to do a lot to help them win. And I'm going to sell. Maybe not just about Carson Beck, but I'm going to sell.
Let's go Garrett Nussmeirer.
Buy. I like everything they have coming back on offense. I think they'll have a better running game this year. And, you protect him a little bit better than you did. You run the ball a little bit better. That offense can be explosive. Actually, I think the only thing standing in the way of Garrett Nussmeirer is his head coach. Am I wrong there, Garrett?
I'm a little concerned about the offensive line. I think that losing Will Cameron and Emory Jones will be big, even though both of them struggled at times last year. But that's the only reason I'm a little hesitant is because I don't know how his protection is going to look up front.
Yeah. Okay.
Sawyer Robertson.
I'll buy it. I mean, they've got some good skill players. They've got two elite running backs in Pendergrass and Washington. Offensive line pretty much all back and was really good last year. Triggs back, right?
Yeah, I mean, Triggs back, and you get Ashton Hawkins back too.
Yeah, Ashton Hawkins back. They're. I think offensively Baylor can roll this year. I really like it, and I love what I saw from him every step of the way. He got better every week. He's confident. We talked to him about a month ago. He's in a very good headspace for being the leader of this team. I mean, it's not. He's in the spot he needs to be in. Like that's I'm very impressed with him on and off the field with being a leader of a football program. He certainly has that vibe about him, and not in the kind of like he's got the appropriate amount of confidence and respect and fear about him.
Right.
So what's the line from Bull Durham is you play the game with fear and arrogance. I think he's got that pretty well.
Josh Hoover.
I'll buy Hoover.
That's right, Paul.
I'll buy Hoover.
That's right, Paul.
Yeah, I'll buy Hoover. They got to get a running game though too.
Yeah,
they got to start helping him out.
They do. They got to run the ball.
They got to start helping him out. But I mean, when they've told him like, hey Josh, we got to grip it and rip it, it usually turns out well. You know, he threw interceptions early. He really kind of curtailed that at the end of the year. And part of the reason I think he threw interceptions early was I think he felt the pressure of like, well, we're not going to be able to run for this damn first down. Like,
we can't stop people. So.
Yeah, like
I can score.
So all right, it's 3rd and 11, so I got to make this happen, or we're going to be down by 14 instead of 7 in a second. So, yeah. I think if they'll block better for him because of Randy Clements. I know that. So I think the running game will improve next year.
Lanorris Sellers.
Lanorris Sellers.
Lanorris Sellers.
Oh, yeah, bye. Lanorris Sellers. He's that guy who, he's super athletic. Nothing, like, sometimes it doesn't look pretty when Lanorris Sellers does it. But
he's got Jameis. He's got some Jameis Winston vibes.
Yeah, he does. Like, sometimes it doesn't look pretty, but it works.
Yeah.
And he's got that, like, he's fearless, man. And partly because he's just this gigantic athlete with a cannon, and there's nothing you can tell him, like, you can't do that. Like, he's like, well, there's 4 guys around that receiver. He's like, well, I'll just throw it through their bodies. Like, I will melt their inner core with this pass.
Let it come out the other side.
Let it come out the other side. So, buddy, just have your hands ready. It'll be there. Like that's the kind of confidence, that Jameis confidence of like, look, I can throw this ball wherever I want to throw it. The problem is that like I want to throw it everywhere. Jameis's problem is not that he's not accurate. It's that he just wants to throw it all the time. Like if they could just tell him like, hey, just throw this one away. Like, you know how you can throw the ball 75 yards? See how many rows up you can get it in the stands. If Jameis would ever have picked that up, I don't know if he would be, he would have been at least at like a 4 or 5 time Pro Bowl quarterback by now.
Right.
Like maybe not all pro, maybe not winning Super Bowls, but he would have ridiculous numbers. Everybody would draft him in fantasy because he'd be like, yeah, okay, he'll throw 10 interceptions a year, but the only time the ball, like seriously, the only time the ball hits the ground is when it does go out of bounds. He hits somebody in the hands every single time.
Finally, Sam Levitt in a post-Cam Scotty world.
They went out and got the running back from Army, so I think that'll transition nicely. Now, granted, he's not going to be Cam Scatabo,
right.
And like where you're like, hey, Cam, we're going to draw this play up in the dirt where you're going to throw the ball and catch it in the same play. And he's like, gotcha. I've dreamt of this moment my whole life. You mean Cam Scatabo scenario number 45? Yeah, it's in my dream journal. How'd you guys know? Like, they're not going to have that. But Sam Levitt's a really good player, and Kenny Dillingham's the best quarterback coach in the country right now. So as long as Sam Levitt's there, I'm going to buy. And as long as Kenny Dillingham and Sam Levitt are attached, then I'm going to buy.